Well, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to today's Sip and Solve. My name's Brody Oldham. I'm our Director of Analytical Consultancy here at Experian. I'm part of our commercial data science team. I manage a team of consultants focused on commercial and small business analytics. Today I'm going to be walking you through how you can enhance your ability to prioritize collections and potentially retain profitable customers with the use of a scorecard. We're going to do this in just under 15 minutes. I'm sitting here in my bright, sunny office in Texas. It's a little hot here, but the air is cooking, and I have a cup of steamy Starbucks Dulce right next to me, and I hope you have something good in front of you, too, during this lunch hour. And we have about 15 minutes, so we're going to jump right into it. Where we're going to start is the market. And the market is really preparing for a downturn. Even though most of the signals point to continued growth, it's going to be at a slower pace. That's what we keep hearing from the market and what we see in the analysis that we do here on experience data, just at a slower pace. But this, in July, it really marks the longest expansion of the economy in post-World War era. So it's been, we're really making a mark here with this post-recessionary trend. So even though most of the signals point to growth, there are still a few signals that we're seeing in the market that have heightened the awareness of a future recession. We certainly hear that a lot from our clients. Things that you'll see in the media also are trade tensions that are out there, monetary policy tightening, global volatility. You can read the paper every day for that, and certainly the yield curve inversions that we've seen that get our economists up and down. Either the sky is falling or it's okay. Either one kind of bounces back and forth. But some of this noise has really been driving increased interest around new portfolio management and collection services and prompted businesses to begin actively evaluating and stress testing their portfolios. Most out there are developing recession-proofing strategies, and my hope is that really you are too. If you're not, I hope this is the encouragement you've really been waiting for. So why should you recession-proof? Well, recession-proofing your debt management process is really important. And here are a few reasons why getting a jump start on auditing and filling in the gaps in your process while the economy is really still positive is such a good idea. You're proactively managing credit risk right now, and by putting some of these new strategies in place, it'll help to minimize the flow of accounts into collections. And it's really incorporating these strategies into early warning systems. You can monitor changes in observable risk metrics, take proactive actions before really the delinquencies get out of hand and start rising. This modernization and collection capabilities, really we've been experiencing for a while now, is helping us before the downturn and really will improve collection performance today and really into the future as we look forward. It helps us to absorb some of the cost of development when we do it in a good time and implement before money gets tight. And all of us know if you're sitting there in your chair and we've been through this good recessionary period and we're feeling pretty good, we're a little flush with some cash in our pockets right now, that once that recession hits, money gets tight. So the action that you really take now is going to significantly increase the effectiveness of your recovery strategies and really sustain your returns. It's going to, once you get into that downturn, if you're working on your collection strategies now, you're going to require fewer new collectors, really when the economy slows. So it's good to get a head start. And our goal here is always to ensure compliant processes are in place, and we really look to remove any subjective evaluation, and we try to automate any types of treatment decisions or actions that we can, really getting ahead of it. Knowing your customer's risk profile, especially of your most profitable customers, now is going to help you to identify opportunities to improve penetration and cross-sell into your portfolio. It really also helps you to identify risk with your customers at an earlier stage. And doing this will proactively buffer your expected risk exposure at default. So I looked at some recent studies that have been done, and I came across one by the Credit Research Foundation. And they found that an analyst will spend 20% of their time interacting with customers and the rest of their time organizing who to call. So if we put this in a collection mindset, in collection, 70% of the calls are made to customers really who would have paid anyway. If my analyst spends 80% of their time prioritizing, that's 80% that could have been automated and really put that collector really more engaged with our customers. So using a score, when we talk about using scorecards in collections, and certainly in this example, would help to automate the prioritization process and create more time to interact with customers. What I focus in on here is really your customer experience. Every contact with a customer is an opportunity to strengthen that relationship, even when they're in arrears. You're improving contact information from the onboarding process really throughout the life cycle. This is going to help you to locate and treat customers appropriately and fairly and bring them back into profitability, or bring back those that you had to release that were profitable customers when they regain their balance again. So scores are important. And the value of the score is that they are going to evaluate many different data points and deliver a number. Numbers are pretty easy. You don't get a big pile of papers back on your desk, you get a number. And that number is related to odds, and really odds for an event you're predicting in an easily digestible format. And for a collection score, it might be a number or a dollar amount. So in our focus today, the score will determine the odds that you'll be able to collect what you're owed. And that's in a collections format. So when we look here, the first real key benefit of a collection score is that they help you to prioritize. And when we look at that Credit Research Foundation study, it's really true. Prioritization is important. They help you to prioritize which of your customers are more likely to repay. You want to know earlier, will my client likely self-cure, pay, or continue to roll? A recommendation here would be to put a matrix of a collection score with a risk score. That's going to help you to create a treatment strategy early, pre-collections, to give your customer a mitigation option before rolling into a collection status. If the customer does roll, you can use the score to evaluate collectability and assign the appropriate resources, including next best action strategies, assigning to a dialer campaign, determining arrangement values, always important, or assigning the most appropriate collector you have in-house as a first-party collector based on the value and odds of collecting on the debt. This leads to the second key benefit of a collection score. If the account's propensity to repay is below your threshold, determine the agency allocations by the collectability potential. This is going to save you right up front. And transition that account to a third-party collector. You know right now, is this account more likely to repay, or is it really going to take a lot of my collector's time to get to it? So let's visualize here the value of using collection scores throughout the lending life cycle, and this is really the third key benefit. Using the matrix approach with risk and collectability that I really mentioned as part of the first key benefit can identify, really as an example, those accounts that are trending into a higher risk segment and utilizing the strategy to identify those businesses that have a lower ability to repay the debt. It could lead to a consolidation offer or other portfolio management activity, really pre-delinquency, pre-collections. So we should talk about how the score fits into the strategy. So most businesses use a linear collection strategy based on the number of days past due. Another factor that they'll use is the amount placed for collections. So is it a high value? How old is it? The action taken really here are more based on these factors than the customer's overall collectability signals. Now, in the market, there's really been a shift away from the linear approach and into a value-based collection process facilitated by enhancements in technology. And we want to automate decisions and operations from the account placement until the case is ultimately resolved. Now, cases are fed into the collection system to decide what the associated next best action should be. This can be done using standard predefined algorithms, through the application of machine learning algorithms for decisioning. Machine learning really allows for the system to continuously increase the value provided through the platform based on historical results for more of a results-driven collection approach. Now, we've seen XGBoost versions of the collection score outperform standard logistic regression versions by 10%. And that means that you will capture 80% of the collectible dollars in the top 30% of accounts scored. The other thing that you should know about collection scores is that the monotonistic constraints and adverse action requirements necessary for a credit risk decision are not really required in collection prioritization and segmentation because no credit decision is really being made. Now, don't hear me wrong here. Logistic regression is still a very predictive modeling method. But if you're interested in moving to an advanced technique, the best place to do that is in a low-risk segment of the life cycle to prove the value of ML, and that's really in collections. And the low barriers here for ML entry and implementation really make the ROI for this complex method really attractive. So implementing a process like this that you see on the screen will help you to create the most value out of a decision for the respective account and apply it. Now, one account decision might be to sell the debt if it has a low propensity to repay and a high risk of default. Another account might be handled by routing the treatment via text or email or a more junior collector if the propensity to repay is high and the risk of default is really low. When we think about good analytics and decisioning processes, they're really essential here for documenting and adherence to federal and state telecommunications and collection regulations. Your collection score in the system that we see above is really a tool in the process. The end result is a value-based collection process where an account does not need to follow the linear approach. It doesn't have to anymore. The process itself adapts at an account level. That's pretty cool. So that you can prioritize your resources where it matters and allow automation in decisioning and operations to handle the majority of accounts efficiently while keeping the collection rates high. So what should you take away today? Markets are still positive for the most part. We see some signals that will see continued growth. We see also signals that the markets will continue to slow. The earlier you can identify customer challenges, the more effective your risk mitigation and collection activity will be. The more customers you can service, the less capital allocation you're required, and you're more efficient in collection strategy. The more efficient you become, will let you control for headcount and operational expenses. Now remember, logistic regression, we talk about logistic and machine learning methodologies. Logistic regression is still a viable option here, but if you want to get into something more, machine learning certainly can offer you more of an advanced look by ingesting it into your collection strategy. It's going to influence the way you interact with customers and right fit your customer touch and maintain goodwill and customer loyalty. Experian maintains a large source, really the largest source of third-party commercial collection data. We're differentiated as a bureau that contains both consumer and business owner commercial data. Our commercial scores are delivered through logistic and machine learning formats, and the scores that that are delivered can be delivered through batch or online, even through API. This means the scores can meet you where you are. If you currently have a collections platform, we can deliver the score right into your current process. We also offer collection software that can help you optimize your collection activity and touch points. So you're really contacting customers where they want to be contacted with the right message at the right time. You will effectively reduce credit losses while optimizing customer experience and retention by providing the right action for a client at the right time and creating that feeling of respect during the difficult time that they're really seeing. Well, that's all I had for you today. Hope it was helpful. Thank you for spending your break with me. Hopefully I was able to help you out with a few ideas to enhance your ability to prioritize collection and potentially create some retention there with good, loyal, profitable customers with the use of a scorecard. Now, if you have any questions or want to learn more about what I talked about today, feel free to use the links you see here to chat with us. Also, if you want to get notified of future sessions, make sure you join our list. Now, back to work.